Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the impact of maps and geography on history because really you can't understand history unless you really know the geography of places and the ability to look at geography through the use of maps. Okay, so let's talk about geography. First of all, a lot of history just is determined by geography. This is Italy. The Roman Empire used to be here. It was super successful, the Roman Empire. Why was it successful? Partially because the only way to attack the Roman Empire when it was in Italy was to either come across the Adriatic Sea up here or the Mediterranean Sea. So on three sides, it was blocked by water, but also you had these massive mountains up here called the Alps. So the barbarians from the north, they couldn't really get to Rome, and the Romans knew all the passes, and so they would just sock them full of troops, and no one could ever really bust the Roman Empire for a very, very long time, which is part of the reason why it was so successful. It was just geographically almost perfect. Okay, this is the Red Sea right here, one of the vocabulary terms for section 3. Notice this is all desert here in Egypt, except for this little delta and this little area of river. This is the Nile River, one of the longest rivers in the world. And notice how green it is. Why is it that people built pyramids and the Sphinx and all the Egyptians have been here for thousands of years? And the answer is, of course, that you have this river that owns this entire area. Now, you look across the world and you start looking at these areas right up here. This is areas where your greatest agriculture ever made is done. Everything in yellow has some of the greatest soil in the world. Everything in red is tremendous soil. You can grow basically anything there. And this red area right here is Ukraine. And Ukraine, of course, is being currently attacked by Russia. Part of it is because it is a breadbasket. So geography really is everything. What is geography? Geography is the physical features of the Earth and the study of the Earth's surface itself. So this thing right here. And so what we want to look at is the different features, the physical features of the planet, its oceans, its islands, its continents. This is the continent of Africa. Here's your Red Sea again. Its mountain ranges, its lakes, all the different parts of what makes this planet its planet. And that way we have a better understanding of overall history because geography really, really, really matters. And we're going to look at 6 primary geographic features that exist on the planet, that being mountains, rivers, plains, seas, oceans, and deserts. And let's get into these a little more specifically. Number one is a river. A river is a body of water that flows into a larger body of water. A river usually starts in some kind of mountainous region. It can travel thousands of miles before it eventually dumps into usually some kind of ocean. Okay. Lots of people live along rivers because they have so many different benefits. A sea is a large body of water surrounded in whole or in part by land. Seas can be very, very big. Places like the Caspian Sea or the Black Sea, the Mediterranean Sea is very big. It can also be fairly small, but often the seas are surrounded by different countries, and sometimes those seas are contested by those different countries. An ocean is a large body of salt water that covers 3/4 of the Earth. There are 5 primary oceans: Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, Arctic, and Southern oceans. And of course, they are massive. They contain a whole lot of resources. A lot of the ocean has not been, still is unexplored. A plain is a broad area of flat land. It's usually where you're going to find some kind of agriculture because flat land is much easier to deal with in terms of agriculture uh, than mountainous areas and, of course, like water. But there are some massive plains that span multiple continents out there that we'll be taking a look at. A mountain is a large landform that stretches above the surrounding land. The tallest mountain on Earth is Mount Everest. The tallest mountain in California happens to be Mount Whitney, which is down in the southern Sierra Nevadas. Um, Mountains, of course, usually are you're going to get snow. California's known mountain ranges are the Siskiyous up north, the Sierra Nevadas that go along the eastern spine, the Tehachapis that go kind of around the south that cut off the Central Valley from Los Angeles. The mountains in California forever have been essentially its water source. So it would snow a whole lot in the Sierra Nevada mountains. The snow would create runoff that would provide the state with its water. Now you're getting much more rain than snow, and so then the geography of the state has to change to adjust to that. When you get above a certain uh, elevation in terms of mountains, like 12 to 14,000 feet, then you start getting above the tree line, and it will be there will be less vegetation. And finally, a desert is a hot and dry area of land with little rain. Most people associate like sand in terms of deserts. Deserts do not have to be all sandy. Most deserts actually are not very sandy, even though there are sand dunes in some of them. But they are all hot, usually dry, but very little rain and very little vegetation. Do people live in deserts? Absolutely. But you have to terraform a lot of land. So places like Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, obviously here in the United States, Las Vegas and Phoenix both get their water from underground, and it's pumped across long ways from reservoirs and from rivers. Geography has plenty of benefits. Obviously, if you are near a coast, you're going to have trade and all the good things that come with trade from other countries, ideas, goods and services, that kind of thing. It also has downsides. This is the northern European plain. It's very flat. And throughout history, Napoleon, World War I, World War II, there have been invasions from Europe into Russia trying to take over Moscow, which is the capital of Russia. Part of the reason that Russia wants Ukraine, Belarus, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia is to prevent, future invasions from going from Europe into Russia. All these invasions, by the way, failed partly due to another geographic issue, the weather. If you do not take Moscow, the capital of Russia, by the time winter starts, you're going to be in a whole world of hurt because a Russian winter is very bad for an invading army. Of course, then we have the United States. It is protected on two sides by oceans. So it's very limited to the ability for another country to invade. Canadians and Mexicans aren't going to invade the United States. It also has some of the most abundant agricultural soil and one of the largest river systems in the world. That's the Mississippi River, which goes like this right here through the middle of the country. But all these other rivers feed right down into it. Very, very, very fertile country. Now, maps have adjusted over time. Maps show geography. The first known map of the world is the Babylonian map of the world, where present day Iraq was. This was 800 BC, so it was around 3,000 years ago. It was on a stone tablet. Over time, maps have grown. This is the 1507 Waldseemüller map. It is the first time that the word America is actually referenced. It's referenced in terms of like South America, but if you notice, this is the North and South America right here. That's all that it looked like in 1507 to the explorers. All maps have certain places that deal with the idea of geography. And to give you a quick introduction of a map, here's a map of California. There is little Ukiah right there. Every map has a title, orientation, a legend, its source, and its overall scale. A title is, and in this case, the title is California. The title tells you what the map is about. And maps can be like this. They can talk about population. They can give you statistics and data and all kinds of different things. But every map, the first thing you should look for is the title, because that'll probably tell you in general what the map is about. In this case, the map is about the state of California. Maps also have some kind of orientation. This is a symbol indicating direction. Usually, when you're looking at a map, up is north. Don't say up though, like don't say like above or below or anything like that. We want to use orientation in terms of direction. Okay. So in this case, orientation has to do with directions north, south, east, and west. And of course, northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. When you're looking at direction, take a look at its symbol and its orientation. North is always up on a map, south is always down, east is to the right, west is to the left, and then you can mix in northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. We're going to be doing a lot with directions. So if I tell you, okay, um, where's Ukiah in relation to San Francisco, which is right here, you would say Ukiah is north of San Francisco. The legend over here is usually a guide about what the symbols and colors all represent. So you have different colors representing cities. Those are urban areas in yellow. And then the different dots have the different scales of the size of those cities and towns. Uh, Legends are usually pretty simple to understand, very basic, but you might want to read through whenever we're looking at maps carefully. Source is, of course, where the map actually comes from. In this case, the Nations Online project. Pretty simple. And finally, the scale is the relationship between distance on the map and the actual distance. If you use a ruler, you can see that a ruler, after a couple of inches, is going to be approximately 200 miles. And so you would take that scale and like use a ruler, and then you could match it to what's going on the map, and you're going to have a rough estimate about how long it is between two different points in terms of distance. Okay. Now, maps can have different projections, but sometimes they might fool you, so be careful. So, for instance, in this type of map, Greenland, which is right here, seems like it's the size of Africa. That's not really a true projection. This is actually a better projection of a map. This is the map we're going to be using in class when we're dealing with the world. All right. So, geography talks about the physical features of the planet, and we're going to look at a lot of physical features using maps.